Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, and our title today is Cyclists block roads in quest for dumplings. Let's move on to language focus. 1번. At first, local authorities encouraged it. Okay, so as we can see, I've highlighted at first. So use at first to describe an early period of time in a situation. It is similar in meaning to initially and in the beginning. Note that first time should not be used for this. So at first는 상황에서 초기 시점을 묘사할 때 사용됩니다. 이는 initially나 in the beginning과 비슷한 의미를 가집니다. 그러나 first time은 이 용도로 사용해서는 안 된다는 점에 유의하세요. So, example. At first, I thought Japanese food was too bland. After a few years, though, I became fond of it. 처음에는 일본 음식이 너무 싱겁다고 생각했지만 몇 년 후에는 좋아하게 되었습니다. Or, Korean seemed easy at first, but as I got more advanced, I realized how difficult it was. 처음에는 한국어가 쉬워 보였지만 더 고급 수준으로 갈수록 얼마나 어려웠는지 깨달았습니다. What you can't say is Korean seemed easy first time, but as I got more advanced, I realized how difficult it was. So this one, is not right. So at first, in this situation, it seems to be 처음에는. 2번. Despite this, many riders made it to Kaifeng or Kaifeng. So we're going to look at the expression made it. So use make it to describe successfully going to a place or getting through a process, despite some difficulty. So, make it은 어떤 어려움에도 불구하고 성공적으로 장소에 도착하거나 과정을 통과하는 것을 묘사할 때 사용됩니다. Our first example. Denise made it through college despite having to work full-time. Denise는 풀타임으로 일해야 했음에도 불구하고 대학을 무사히 졸업했습니다. Or, there was a traffic jam and I barely made it to the meeting on time. 교통 체증이 있었지만 간신히 회의에 제 시간에 도착했습니다. So, make it. Made it is obviously the past. Alright, now let's look at the language focus quiz. 1번. At first, I wasn't a fan of, but now I love it. So when we go back up, at first. Use at first to describe an early period of time in the situation. It is not similar to the meaning initially, or it is similar to the meaning initially and in the beginning. Note that first time should not be used. So remember, at first는 상황에서 초기 시점을 묘사할 때 사용됩니다. 이는 initially나 in the beginning과 비슷한 의미를 가집니다. 그러나 first time은 이 용도로 사용해서는 안 된다는 점에 유의하세요. So, at first, I wasn't a fan of, but now I love it. Oops. Alright, so let's say something simple like, at first, I wasn't a fan of carrots, but now I love it. 처음에는 당근을 좋아하지 않았지만 이제는 정말 좋아해요. 2번. Seems at first, but once you get to know him or her, Let's say John seems stubborn at first, but once you get to know him, he is actually quite a nice guy. Let me just delete that. So, 저는 처음에는 고집이 세 보이지만 그를 알게 되면 사실 꽤 좋은 사람이라는 것을 알게 돼요. 3번. I barely made it to because I should explain it. Remember, use make it to describe successfully going to a place or getting through a process despite some difficulty. So, make it은 어떤 어려움에도 불구하고 성공적으로 장소에 도착하거나 과정을 통과하는 것을 묘사할 때 사용됩니다. So, let's say I barely made it to work on time because the bus was late. So, 버스가 늦어서 간신히 제 시간에 회사에 도착했습니다. And very few people make it through, let's just say, the first round of interviews. 첫 번째 면접을 통과하는 사람은 끄기 드뭅니다. Maybe it's a very difficult job to get. Alright, now let's look at the further discussion. 1번. Is there a place in your country that's especially famous for its dumplings? 당신 나라에는 특기만두로 유명한 곳이 있나요? The only place that I can think of that is really famous is a place called Myeongdong Gyoja. That's in Myeongdong. I've been there many, many times and it is delicious. I highly recommend the kongguksu or the, how would you translate into English? The kind of bean noodles, the soybean noodles, maybe. But yes, the dumplings there are amazing. And the kimchi there is really good. But if we're talking about dumplings, that's the place that I usually go if I want to eat dumplings. It's one of my favorite restaurants to go to. As far as like a city or a district or an area, I'm not too sure. I don't know. Like, I know that, for example, there are certain places where you go for lamb skewers or 양꼬치, or there's like areas that you go for meat. Like I think, where is it? It's on line. Is it line 5? The meat market on line 5. I forgot the name. But yeah, I don't know any special place in Seoul or even in Korea that's famous just for dumplings. But I do know that Myeongdong Gyoja is a place that many people line up for just to eat there. So I highly recommend there if you haven't been there. 2번. If a friend invited you to take a 50-kilometer journey by bicycle for the purpose of trying some famous dumplings in another city, how would you respond? 친구가 다른 도시에서 유명한 만두를 먹기 위해 50km 자전거 여행을 하자고 초대한다면 어떻게 응답하시겠어요? Yeah, if I had the time, I think that would be kind of fun, to be honest with you. I kind of always would like to do. I've always wanted to do that kind of holidays, to ride around the country on a bike and look at the countryside and I'm not that fit. I'm not great at exercise, but it would be something that I would like to try. Maybe in my retirement. Yeah, if I had the time, 100% I would like to do that. But right now, I couldn't do that at all. But maybe not for dumplings, not just for dumplings. Maybe if it was like something more delicious or something more tasty, I don't know, and other things to do instead of just eating dumplings. But yeah, one of those kind of journeys would be very fun to do, I think. Anyway, that wraps it up for today, and I'll see you on the next class.
Cult classic.
Cult classic.
Fictitious.
Fictitious.
Clogged.
Clogged.
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed.
Restlessness.
Restlessness.
On a lighter note.
On a lighter note.